I was using LinkedIn and I came across this post where a man was telling a vlogger that my CNIC is being used by different people to post bails in several cases. There's an entire website apart from these Facebook groups. If you enter your phone number, your cell number into that website, your CNIC will show up. And I checked it and my CNIC was showing up. I was able to access it, and I asked other people as well, other journalists, and they did say that they are able to access this website. Mostly what common people, or at least in countries like Pakistan, face is these, data theft, and then using or manipulating that data to steal financial information, or, to just blackmail someone, or, such kind of cybercrime. What we need is good policing, good training the judiciary on how to handle cybercrime cases, and definitely a data protection.
Hello and welcome to this episode of the DigiPod. My name is Farieha Aziz. Today I am joined by Sindhu Abbasi. She's a cybercrime and tech policy reporter. She recently wrote an article for Dawn.com on the various scams in the cybercrime, different kinds of crimes that are being perpetuated against citizens, the policies, laws, gaps. So to begin with, Sindhu, can you tell us a little bit about what you've covered in your story in terms of the kinds of crimes that people face in the online sphere?
So for this article, actually, I was using LinkedIn and I came across this post where a man was telling a vlogger that my CNIC is being used by different people to post bails in several cases. This man was in Punjab, and he had been tracking where the CNIC was being used for a year, and he had moved court as well. And so that prompted me to write that article. But before that, I've written a couple of long form pieces on investigative pieces on data theft happening in Pakistan. The first one was in 2019, in which I basically wrote about these Facebook groups where your and mine and everyone's Nadra data is being sold openly by many people with their real profile. And there are over a dozen groups. I mean, there were over a dozen then, and I'm sure that they've just like increased now. And I did report about that, and then there were so basically what. So I'll speak a bit about this. Nadra selling. They are advertising that you can ask for anybody's Nadra family tree if you want that data. I don't know why people would want that data, probably for marketing, probably for scamming, but most likely for scamming. And I got in touch with one of these, people, and I pretended to be a buyer. I actually asked them, how would I know if that data is correct? Why should I trust you? Maybe you're scamming me. So the person actually sent me a picture of a desktop computer in where somebody's Nadra family tree was open, and somebody inside Nadra had taken a picture. So he had given me the picture of that desktop computer, and he said that we won't be sharing screenshots with you or PDFs or whatever. We'll send you these kinds of pictures so you know that these are directly from Nadra. And I wrote this in 2019, and then other reporters also have, I think, written about it in their feature stories, etc. But again, there wasn't, the government hasn't really come up with any concrete policies and reports and research about who is doing these things and what we are doing about it. The job was left with the FIA, which did claim and which still claims to arrest a lot of people.
Sindhu, you mentioned that a lot of people are faced with various kinds of online crimes, and some people do approach courts as well. But how effective have those remedies been, or the fact that when they complain to the FIA or the PTA? Your article also mentions that there are websites with a lot of people's information out there, and those have been brought to attention as well. What have you seen? Have you seen action taken against some of these things?
Okay, so first the website. There's an entire website. Apart from these Facebook groups, if you enter your phone number, your cell number into that website, your CNIC will show up. And I checked it, and my CNIC was showing up. And from what I've heard, this website was brought to Omar Saif's attention. And what he did was he just blocked it from Pakistan. So because a lot of us are using VPNs in Pakistan now, I was able to access it, and I asked other people as well, other journalists, and they did say that they are able to access this website. And I mean, think about it. This is the government's response. This is the response of people in the government, which continue to justify their policies of internet blocking and apparently the firewall and whatever, using this excuse of cyber attacks. But see, cyber attacks are a very advanced thing. I mean, they don't happen all the time. Mostly, what common people, or at least in countries like Pakistan, face is these data theft, and then using or manipulating that data to steal financial information, or to just blackmail someone, or such kind of cybercrime. So and this website was also tweeted about. Many people were talking about it. Usually if you tweet about something that the state deems as propaganda, you get a notification by the PTA in like mere 5 minutes that your tweet has been reported. So where was the PTA when this website was being talked about, right? And I'm sure that some people do report now to the PTA. I mean, they have a complaint portal. And even if somebody doesn't, they have to be proactive about it, right? So, but then I checked again today, the website is still on. And about the remedies, so we don't really have data about the cases that FIA deals in. On their social media, the FIA is very active. They keep on posting about we arrested this and we arrested that person. And so apparently arrests are happening, but what happens inside the court and whether these people who are wronged do get justice, we don't know because we don't have any data. Even with digital rights activists, I used to contact them, ask them if they have any data about it. I just got like one data around like 1-2 times. These people were in some Senate meetings and they just took screenshots of the presentation, that the FIA was presenting in the parliament. So we can't really say. And knowing FIA, they just like to really talk about arrests and all that, but I don't think that a lot of people are being brought to justice for stealing people's data or selling their data.
And about, I mean, legislation. So sure, we have the Prevention of Electronic Crimes Act, right? And there are certain data provisions that are criminalized, but then you're mentioning all of these problems. The other thing is also the kind of legislation that should exist, or that, for example, your article also mentions the data protection bill, the AI bill. But again, what it should seek to protect citizens against and what it actually contains in the letter of the law. Can you also explain a little bit about, with respect to the data protection, but also the AI bill, and also what you've mentioned in terms of how cameras, safe city cameras also, for instance, or AI facial recognition is being used, but what are the fallouts of that?
So starting, PICA does have clauses, as you said, that deal with database being misused for, let's say, financial crimes or any kind of crime. I mean, I don't think that they've detailed down specifics, but if anybody's data is being used, especially for blackmail of women or for child pornography, etc. So PICA does have those clauses. But the thing is that why we need data protection law and why there is a data protection law in functioning democracies in the EU or in the US, for example, or countries like the US, is that there is an understanding, and there is people now know that we need to understand that just because we are on the internet does not mean that everybody can access our data. Anybody can use our data however they like, or sell our data, manipulate it, process it, etc. So this is a broader advocacy around data protection, and this is why we need to also bring this kind of legislation and policies in Pakistan, where you understand that just because you go to the photocopy shop, or just because you give out your data when you're checking in at the hotel or using a marketing agency's services, does not mean that they can access store that data and then sell it to whoever they like, or even telecom companies or ISPs. So this is why we need a data protection bill which basically conceptualizes what personal data is. My personal data would be my name, my date of birth, probably my CNIC, and such particular. And then the bill would have different provisions about how these data processors and data holders should process such data. And for how long can they hold that data? For example, in the EU, if you want, if you are not using somebody's service anymore, a telco service anymore, you can ask them to remove your data. Or for example, right to forget is a very important right, which was used by people, for example, whose videos due to revenge porn, etc., had gone viral on Google, and they went to courts also. I think there were a couple of cases in the US where they went to the court and they had Google remove those videos. So this is the reason that PICA is not enough, because PICA, what it does is that it is about after the crime happens with the data, with the manipulated data. But this Data Protection Act will allow you to have a right to your data. If you go to a hotel, you can ask them and to make sure that your data is not sold to other marketing agencies, etc. And with the AI, so with the AI use in Sindh and Punjab by Sindh and Punjab governments, of course, there's AI. This is a separate issue. The AI use by governments and all over the world, a lot of reporting is being done on it, and a lot of organizations like Privacy International and others have expressed concern about. But in countries like Pakistan, where there's no Data Protection Act, it becomes more of a danger. Now, what happens is that these cameras that are apparently installed at toll plazas and at traffic checkpoints, especially in Punjab, they capture your images, they capture your nameplates, and they are in a database of systems and in the database. And if the Punjab police wants to, for example, nab a criminal or find a criminal, their press release says that they will compare those pictures with their databases that are already there of prisons and of driver licenses. And they will compare that and try to, catch the criminal. But very interestingly, all over the world, there is an increasing criticism of these AI facial recognition technologies, because a lot of research shows that these technologies do not work on non-white faces, because a lot of this technology, obviously, it's by white. I would also like to mention here that since 2018, 2017, I've been reporting on cybercrime and been speaking to several people in the FIA and investigation officers, a couple of them in the banking circle and most of them and others in the cybercrime circle. And all of them have said that the main hub of where this, cybercrime is being done, the banking scams especially, is Punjab, because apparently these were some petty criminals, and they saw this as a business opportunity, and they've become these like very big gangs that are scamming people throughout Pakistan. But if you look at the response of the government, the PMLN or Punjab government, they are focusing their energies mostly on this fake news and disinformation, things and stuff that affect them, politicians. But if you see research around the world, common people mostly face these scams, and these scams result in them losing their money. But these are the kind of crimes that can be handled and that can be prevented by legislative reforms, judicial reforms. I mean, basic policing and like improving police systems. We have not heard any political party or any government do that. Instead, they keep on introducing these sweeping legislations on social media, proposing stringent punishments for people apparently who insult state institutions and politicians. So I think it's important for politicians to instead focus on cybercrime and not propose measures like data localization as solutions. That this data localization has nothing to do with stopping cybercrime. It's an altogether different thing. What we need is good policing, good training the judiciary on how to handle cybercrime cases, and definitely a data protection.
Thank you, Sindhu, for the very comprehensive overview. The problems need to match the solutions, which unfortunately it seems they do not. And just advancing different legislation, but not also looking at the implementation arm of it and how effective it is, and really what does it do to protect citizens, not just after the fact, but also trying to prevent and take action before things happen to them. How that can be curbed is definitely what is required. This is all that we have on the DigiPod today. Thank you for joining Dawn News English.